Let me share my screen. Hope it's going to share. Can you see my screen, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. So in this machine, I have connected twice. Okay. Connected twice. One with my own laptop and one with Cloud9. Okay. One command that you would need to find out who has connected to this machine or currently connected to this machine is the command called who. You just type WHO, enter, and it tells you that someone, Ubuntu, has connected at this time with this IP address. So this is the Cloud9 IP address, and someone again has used the user Ubuntu also connected to this IP address. If I go to my laptop and I cancel the connection, I have come out, as you can see, log out, this and that. No, leave her, leave her, leave her, leave her. Why should she go? Oh, okay. And I'm out. Yeah, I'm no longer in. So if I go to Cloud9 and type who again, well, there's only one person. The other person has left. So today, put who in your toolbox. Who. Now, while you know who, I want to show you today a little bit about Linux users. Okay, what is a user? In Windows, you're able to create users, and each person can come in and log in with their own user account and password. In Linux, the same thing is there. So Linux admin, these are some of the basic things that you need to know. Okay, so today I'm going to show you a little bit about user management in Linux. Okay, is that okay, guys?
Yeah.
Now, if you want to know, when we were connecting, let me go to my terminal here. We were connecting. This is the command we used to connect. And in the command, we said we want to SSH and -I is information. Okay. We are passing in the file that we are going to use this file. So -I says use this file. Okay. And then here is the address. But if you look at it, there's Ubuntu in front of the before the @ okay, you all know that @ is an address, @ sign, at this, at that, at this. You can get me at here, www dot whatever. But when we get to this machine, I want you to go in as this user, connect as this user. Yeah. And the name of the user is the default user for Ubuntu. This is a default user for Ubuntu. And the address of the machine is after the @ So this user connecting as Ubuntu as at this machine, which is the address. Okay. So let me log out here and explain this again, because it's more of a bigger screen. So again, I'm connecting using SSH client. I'm passing in the file. -I says that use this file. Yeah. If we man SSH, you know the man command anyway. It's the manual command. I'm getting the manual of the program SSH. And this is the manual of the program SSH. Yeah. As you can see, it tells us that if you pass -I, where is it? This is it. -I, identity file. Select a file from which the identity, the private key for the public authorization is read. You can also specify the public key file to use for corresponding private key. So you need to add -I and tell it which identity file to use. Okay, so let's quit. So SSH minus I, because that's the program says if I say minus I, you're telling me which identity file to use, and I say use this identity file. When I go to after that, I say this is the address of the machine, but this is the user I'm using to connect. So as soon as you connect, it will go and check. Of course, this user can use this key to access this machine. And I'm in. And as I'm in, by default, it gives you a prompt. This here is called a prompt. Yeah. And in the prompt, it gives me the username and the IP address that I've connected to. See, user at this IP. So this is the user. So when I type who, it tells me this user, Ubuntu, connected at this time with this IP. Okay. So you know a little bit about a user. The user, the default user of Ubuntu is Ubuntu. But everybody knows that the default user of Ubuntu is Ubuntu. So maybe if you want to create an application, that application that we did, we probably might want to create a different user and use that user instead, because I know that if you want to attack me, any cybersecurity attack or anything, you know that Ubuntu, you can try Ubuntu. But if I create my own user, you will not know. If I call the user John, it will be hard for you to actually get my IP address and also find out that my user that I'm for my application is called John. That's one reason. But the other reason is it's good to create a user for everybody that you have. Now, the system uses different users to perform different actions and programs and stuff. So if you want to list all the users that we have in the machine, you need to run this command. Okay, so I'll put this here too. So today we did who, and we are doing this as well. So less is another command, a program that lists. We're not doing less, but just learn that you can use this command. Or I can also use cat, because everything in Linux is a file. So there's a file that has the list of all users, and the name of the file is password, PASSWD, and it's located. This is its absolute path. So we want to know what is in the file. etc password, yeah, and this is it. These are the users. There's a root user, which is the admin. There's a user to do daemon. There's a bin user, sys user, games user. There's a man user. Even if you're running man command, there's a man user, mail user, news user, proxy user, www data user, backup user, nobody. There's a user called nobody. And these are default users. No, I didn't create any of this, but look, Ubuntu is here. Okay. AWS also created its own user to do Instance Connect. Chris, AWS created its own user. So even in the backend of Instance Connect is SSH. Okay. So AWS has created its own user that it uses for Instance Connect to connect to this machine. It's still SSH. And so on and so forth. Okay, so these are the users, and there's an SSHD. When you are actually SSHing, SSHD has its own user that it uses in the backend to actually access the files and blah, blah, blah. Now, each user has its group and permissions. One of them, most of them have no login. Basically, you can't log in into this machine with this user. So here, this one has no login, no login, no login, no login, no login, no login, no login. It's a systems user, and we don't want anybody to use it to come into the machine. And these are permissions you set. Okay. So everybody raise your hand if this makes sense. Good. Now, if you want to list only the usernames, yeah, there's a simple command that you can do. This gave you the gibberish because we just went into the file. Okay, this command here will give you only the usernames. Okay, what we are doing is we are running this command. -d says that only give me the ones in the front. In the front. This is not the scope. Just understand that this command works. Yeah, and voila, it just lists all the users that are in there. Okay, we are not learning the command, but if you want to go and learn the command, it's a cat -d, and cat is another tool that you can use. You can go and learn it yourself, but with this command, you can. All I want is go to Google and say if I want to know all the users. Yeah, there's another one. There's a lot of ways to do it. You can use awk as well. You can use awk. AWK is another program in AWS and in Linux that you can use, and it also lists the users for you. So these are the users. Okay, and as you can see, Ubuntu is in it. Right. So there's a file here that gives you. I got it from Linux, YouTube. This file. Okay, girls, how to list users in Linux, and it's got all the commands there. Sometimes not everything that you need to put in your head. You just need to know that you can list users in there. The ones that you need to know are the ones you're going to use every day. You don't want to be going to your workplace and they say SSH into a machine, and it's like, okay, let me go to Google how to SSH into a machine. No. It's like if I give you a key to go to my house and go and cook, fufu, Ghana fufu. I don't mind if you get to the house and you have to Google how to cook fufu. But to go and open the door, you are Googling, then you're not in this world. You know how to open a door already. Okay. Now, we were going to create users. Okay. And all I've gone to is Google and typed how to create a Linux user. Okay. And this is the URL. I'll put it in the chat. I'll put it in the chat. And I'll also put it here. I'll copy all of these and also put it in the file as well. Okay. So I know these things, okay, but I want all of you to understand. So everybody is going to create one user for everybody on their laptop. Okay. So I'm going to create a user for Abdullah. I'll just use your first name. If someone has two names as first name like John Luke, you do John_Luke. And I'll create one for Paul, Alphonse, and Chris. Okay. So this is the command. Let me clear, and it's in the file. Yeah. This is the command. Sudo, we are using admin privileges. User add the name of the user. So I'm going to do for Abdallah. Yeah, Abdallah. Spelled it correct, isn't it?
Yeah, correct.
And voila. That's it. Finished. The user is created. It probably doesn't have any permissions or anything, but if I run this command and check users, now Abdallah is there. Simple, isn't it? This is what. Try creating a user in Windows. You probably can do the same thing using a PowerShell, but Linux is so easy. So easy. All you need to know is the commands. Yeah, and that's it. I've done it for Abdullah. I think I can create more users, by adding everybody's name to the file. I'm going to try it. So I'll create for Jean. Everybody do this for everybody. Jean underscore luck. Now I'm going to add Paul to it and create. It didn't allow me. Okay. So it didn't allow me. So I'm going to have to do it one by one for now. But I tried something. It didn't allow me. So I'll just do John Luke and I'll do Paul. And I'll do Alphonse. Alphonse. And I'll do Chris. So if I run the command again, I should have all of your names here. So after Ubuntu, I go Abdullah, Jean-Luc, Paul, Alphonse, and Chris. I've created all these users for you. Now, if I cut Etsy password, it tells me what you can and can't do. So Chris, you can SSH and so on and so forth. You can do this, but it didn't give you no login. Okay. Now, currently, as you can see, I am in this shell as Ubuntu. What if I want to do something as someone else? So if I check everybody again, I don't want to be using Ubuntu as a user. I want to change into and use Alphonse as a user. You do sudo su Alphonse. Oh no. I can actually type it and tap Alphonse. Alphonse. We are using privileges. User add. Abdullah, mute. I'm listening to myself again.
Oh, okay.
Alphonse. And I mean, now the prompt that I'm in as Alphonse is just the $sign. It didn't give me any more information. I mean, Alphonse, if I do PWD, I'm in Alphonse. I'm still in Ubuntu. Oh, 1 minute. Sorry. 1 minute. I think it's minus S. I think it's not soup. Minus S. No. Go to Google. I should have known this. You say yeah, switching users. Oh yes, it's the same thing. Okay, but when it takes you there, it didn't take you to the home folder. It still left you in the Ubuntu folder. Okay, so it's you who have to change into your folder. You just type CD and it will take you to Alphonse folder. But CD to Alphonse folder, and I think Alphonse doesn't have a home folder. Okay, Alphonse doesn't have a home folder. So let's see. We're just creating a user, a normal user. I'm going to Google again, and I'm going to add this there and say, what's this error? So create a user in Linux, and I'll give them user in Linux with a home folder. Okay. Okay. By default, the user add, by default, the user add command does not create a home directory. Instead, you will need to specify the -m option to create a home directory. Okay. So when you create a user, you actually need to tell it that I want this user to be able to have a home folder. Okay. We are all learning, guys. We are all learning. I know that we can create a user, but the home folder needs to be there. This person's home folder needs to be there. It doesn't have to be there, but for the purpose of what I was going to do, we don't need the home folder, but let's add the home folder. So we're going to delete our fonts and all the other users. And removing a Linux user is something that I'm going to show you. And the command is user del, yeah? So user but you have to run it as sudo user del. Okay, so to add a user, you just type user add. To delete a user, you just type user del. And then we will say our fonts. Voila, our fonts is no longer there. If we check, our fonts is gone. Yeah, so let's delete all the other users. Okay, so I have our fonts. I'll delete Chris. I'll delete Jean-Luc. I'll delete Paul, and I'll delete. Don't delete any user you shouldn't do. Go Abdullah. Yeah. Now, so I'm going to add this to the list of commands. So we created the user and we have deleted the user. Okay. Save this. Okay. Now we're going to do it again, but this time we're going to add -l. Yeah. We clear the screen, and one other command I have probably introduced you to is history. History will give you the list of all the commands you have already run so far. And since I logged in, these are all the commands that have been running. I ran clear, I ran clear, I ran who, clear. I did all of these commands, including when I was creating the users. Yeah. Now, so I'll add history to the command list. Yeah. And after history, there's another command called pipe. This is pipe. Let me clear. And I type history. Yeah. And I add pipe. Pipe. Are you able to type this in your machine? So because some keyboards are hard. I use shift and I find that line on the keyboard and I use it. It's called pipe. Who here cannot type a pipe as with their laptop? Raise your hand. So everybody can type pipe. Okay. What does pipe means? When you type history, it gives you an output. This is the output of this command. Output. History came out with this. Okay. If you write most commands, will give you an output. What we are saying is we want to pipe that output, put that information that you get to another command. Pipe that output to another command. Yeah. Give that information to another command. Another command will use that information. So I can give that information to cat. Yeah. I can say I want cat to do that information. Will it work? Yes. Cat only output something. Cat takes information and it gives you output of it. So if I want to cut, if I say echo is also a command that, you know what echo is? Echo. Echo. The Linux is more or less English. More. Echo is a program that will echo anything you say. So if you go to a hollow room and you say, you shout, there will be an echo of what you just said. Okay, you say hello, and then you hear hello, hello, hello. So echo, I can echo hello, and echo will just echo hello. So cat takes information and it outputs it for you. That's what cat does. But we are going to put this to another command called grep. You can go and learn grep. Now, grep can actually go and find anything that has to do with a specific parameter that you set. So if I want to say, go into my history and find me everything that has this word in it in the history. So history will give the output to grep, and grep will go and do this and go and find. So grep has that ability. That's a program that can go and search through information that you pass it and give you what you want. Voila. So grep went in the history, and as you can see, there's a lot of things that I've done today, but all I want is when I did the user add. That's all. So in the history, only give me the parts that are user add. And that's grep. So what we've done is taking the history, and then we put that information into another program called grep, who has the ability to only bring us what is in what history gave it. History gave it all of this, and it's removed. It's just giving us the things that has user add in it. And as you can see, even history, user add is also in the history. So it's a command in there. So it also gave it that one as well. Okay. So this is it when we did user add. The reason I did this is it's easy for me to then copy and paste these instead of having to do it all again over again. Okay, that's the main reason. And it makes things easy for you. Very, very easy. And when we start scripting, you would want to be able to find Abdullah, only Abdullah, and work on Abdullah. So a script cannot copy and paste. So you have to be specific in scripts. Okay. Scripts will be doing things for you. So now we have gone and created a user. We created just any random user. We didn't give it any parameters, nothing. Okay. And then we just did whatever. If we go in it and we man user add, we're finding the manual of user add. It can tell you a lot. And we are looking for the -m. That's m parameter here. Okay. It says create home. Create the user's home directory if it does not exist. The files and directory contained in the skeleton directory, which can be defined with the -k option, which will copy the home directory, be copied to home directory. The files and directory contained in the skeleton directory, okay, -k. By default, if this option is not specified and create home is not enabled, no home directory are created. This directory where the user's home directory is created must exist and have proper cells, Linux contents, and permissions. Otherwise, the user's home directory cannot be created or accessed. Now, it did also mention the -k option. Yeah. So let's find -k option. What does it mean? Anyway, let's just go and create the home folder. With a home folder, go into it and check what is there. So after man, you can quit Q. So today we're going to create Abdullah, and then we're going to say user add -m. That's it. It will create Abdullah's home folder for us, and then enter. It has created Abdullah. If we have our list, this one, this is the command I run, copy and paste. Abdullah is there. Yeah. Now let's connect as Abdullah. Sudo su Abdullah. And then let's cd pwd. Abdullah's home folder has been created. We are in Abdullah's home folder. If I list, there's nothing there. See, there's nothing there. So if you want to come out of Abdullah's folder, Control D or type exit. I'm back into Ubuntu folder. But in Ubuntu, if I list ls-alt, there are stuff there. Let's go back to Abdullah and do that same thing. I want to check if I'm in the home folder, pwd. I'm in Ubuntu still, so I'll go to Abdullah. All I type is cd. And if I do pwd again, now I'm in Abdullah. So if I ls-alt, it does have some things. It does have some things. So it has the logout, bash rc, and profile. These three. It doesn't have these here. It seems that by default, when you create the folder, the home folder, these are the most important three things that it will add to the home folder. Okay. So, but the top one, the cache and stuff, are things that probably when AWS created the Ubuntu folder, they added these things themselves because they need to do. So there's a bash history file, which holds all the history information. And there's a sudo as admin successful file, and there's a less h. I don't know what these are, but you can learn about them. But at least it gave you these things. Okay. Now, one thing is when you log in, you realize that it doesn't have information about who or what. Okay. So this user prompt is just a $sign. If we want to be able to, for it to tell us who we are and the IP, the public IP address of the machine, what do we do? And this is the prompt. Okay, this is the prompt. So I'll go to Google again, add more information. We've done this before to Linux user prompt. We did it before in one of the Cloud9s. Okay, how to change the prompt of a user and blah. Okay, now I'm going to share what Google told me, and as you can see, this user, what is the meaning of this and why does it happen? Don't worry, we'll get them. You targeted your question to add user, but you seem to actually be using add user. Okay, so this is what I was looking for. Okay, if you want to change the prompt to add at least the pwd command, this is what you have to add to your bashrc file. Okay, this. So, but I was suspecting, I need to find out. I think it will work. If a flag, when we create the user, we can add a flag so that the prompt is automatically added when we create. But I wanted to teach you this as well. So there's a bashrc file. This is it. Yeah. And if we vim, I don't think we should be able, we can vim this from here because maybe it doesn't have the permission to do it. Abdullah should be able to do it. Vim bashrc. Abdullah can't even tab. Abdullah can't do a lot of things. Okay, bashrc file. All we do is go to the end of the file. So basically, this file is run anytime Abdullah logs in. Okay, this file is run anytime Abdullah logs in. So it will run all these commands. Okay, and then I insert, which is I. Those who knows Vim, enter, and then I'll paste this. So what I'm saying is, for PS1, which is the prompt, PS1 is the prompt, run this command and just give me the home folder. That's all. Okay. And I'm going to save this file. Quit. Oh, no, not here. Escape first. Yeah. And then quit. Okay. So I've saved this file. Now, still, the prompt is not there. Okay. Prompt is not there because, as I said, this file is run when you log in at the first time. That's it. So let's log out and log in again as Abdullah. It still didn't work. Let me source. Abdullah doesn't have a lot. This is not how to create a proper user. Source.bash rc. Source is not fun. Okay. It's good that I'm having problems.
Hi, Benny.
Yeah.
We've been facing this issue when we was doing some Linux kind of courses. But what we did was to create you with -s/bin/bash, and then the user was able to do so.
What did you say? Write the command here.
Okay.
Is in the chat. Paul. Okay, user add -u -home. Okay, you're creating user Momo.
Yes, and using M, I think it created home directory by default. By here, we was creating a custom home folder, and then -a. in bash. I think that was the thing that gave him the permission
Okay.
to be running a
Let's delete Abdullah and run. Okay, let's use this to create for Chris. So we say Chris, and then we say Chris.
You're missing sudo.
Yeah, we'll call him later. Okay, let's connect to Chris. Oh, and this command was able to create everything that was needed. CD. It can't do CD though. No such. It can't. It doesn't have a lot of things. The home folder, CD, CD, home, Chris. Is the home folder actually there? Right. What I'll do is I'll go back out. I'll delete Chris. This is it. It might be some of the commands that you've added here works. So I will delete Chris. So let's type history. No, user del, isn't it? User del Chris. And then we can create Chris again. But this time around, what we'll do is we will not specify the home folder. We will just do minus minus M, and then let it create the home folder for us. Sudo su Chris. Voila, CD. So this is it. Okay, ls minus alt, and this created what we wanted. So all we had to do was to add this to it. Well done, Alphonse and Paul and John Luke. But the thing is, I'm only going to teach you what, introduce you to what, the how. This is it. You and your research will come up with it. But until you can do what you want, you need to know that the user should be able to come up to be able to do this and so on and so. How do I get it? You need to know that when I create a user, some users don't have anything. Some users have a lot, and I need to do a lot. And that's why you need to go and learn user add. If you man user add, it will give you a lot of options that you can look into it. Okay, you don't need all of it, but you need some. Okay, so now if we cut Etsy password, what's the difference between Abdullah and Chris? Look, the permission for Abdullah is 1001, and it has the home abdullah.bin-bash. But this one is bin-sh. But this one is bin-bash. Ubuntu have bin-bash, and it has 1000. What are the difference? What are the difference between these users? One of them can run sudo, one of them cannot run sudo. So if I want Chris to run sudo su Abdullah, can Chris do it? No, Chris cannot go. It can't use sudo. It's not part of the sudo group. So it needs to put password of sudo. Nobody has the password of sudo. So it doesn't work. This is up to you. Go and find a way to make sure that Abdullah or Chris can do sudo. Now the thing is, when you create Abdullah, it had wrong permissions and stuff. If you have already created the user, how can you make sure that the user can have the things that they need? And this is it. How to change user bin-sh to bin-bash. Google. It's either you delete the user and create it again, But what if the user has done things and already has things, you just want to change this? Okay. Google. So go and play around with user management. We don't want to go into user management too much. I just want to show you that there's user management. And it's up to you and your YouTube videos to learn more about it and be good at it. Okay. As I said, Linux admin job in UK is paying about $55,000 pounds in UK. I don't know about where you are. Just Linux admin, because there's a lot. It's a lot. Okay, so knowing Linux is a skill that if you go to any interview and you show your competence, how competent you are in Linux, it's a lot. I'm not going to be teaching you everything. User management, we can sit here for 4 weeks. Okay, we can sit here for 4 weeks because we're only doing 2 days a week. But I just want you to, what I want to teach you today is that you can create a user, and that user should be able to come up and do things like this. It has the home folder and it's able to even have this. And we've managed. This user doesn't have sudo rights. We can add sudo. Can we change the permissions of a user? Yes, let's try from Google. Linux user sudo access. Yeah. How to give sudo privileges to a user. Google has it. Yeah. So according to this guy, you go to edit the sudo file. So let's go back to the Ubuntu machine. Ubuntu user has a lot of privileges. So we go and edit the sudo file. And the sudo file is vim, I think it's v. I'm probably doing something so wrong. S. Oh, it works. So this is the, and then you just add this here. But we want to and say it's Chris we created, isn't it? Chris. So Chris user, all is equal to all. And then save. Yeah. Now, if we log in as Chris and we say we want to use sudo Abdullah, still asking for password for Chris. Still asking. Why?
Yeah, the user Chris, we have to create a password for him by using a
No. Okay, we don't want Chris to be able to. This will give you full sudo permissions, but you need to. In addition, we want to add no password to it. Yes.
The thing is sudo vsudo.
Yeah. So we need to add no password. So we go back to Ubuntu and then tell Ubuntu to edit this file, and then we say no password. We add no password.
The file we're editing, I think, is not the right file. When you do sudo vsudo,
let me see. Let me see. Insert. Paste. Enter. Okay. Now let's go to Chris and let's see if Chris can. Still asking for password. What were you saying?
I was saying the command is sudo vsudo. It opens a different file like that from the.
This is what I was used to actually, and this was really. This is what I am used to. To add, actually, let me remove everything from that file. because this is what I was used to. So come back to Ubuntu and remove everything. DG, I don't want this. Quit, and this is what I was used to. This here, yeah, and then I add Chris. This. That's it. Cut Etsy password. Let's see if Chris can now connect. To run command as administrator, use sudo. Okay. I think we still need that no password thing. But we've added it to the sudo group.
But it makes sense for the system to ask about the password.
Yes, but we don't want to say create a password for Chris. We can create a password for Chris, but this time around we don't want to create a password for Chris. We can actually.
All right.
So let me create a password for Chris. Yeah. So we go here, go to Ubuntu. We are using a Ubuntu user which has permissions to do all of this. Okay. Or we can even use the root user -s is the root user. Yeah. And this, or let's go come out sudo su will use the root user. Yeah. Okay. So I'm using the root user now. Basically, I have changed to the root user, and as you can see, it actually says here that you are the root user. Okay. So this user can do anything. So all I have to do is to type a command password. There's a command, a program to change password, and it's called password. And I say Chris. Password Chris. Yeah. And it will ask you for new password. I will just call it Chris. Chris. And that's it. Come out again. I go to sudo su Chris. And whenever Chris uses the sudo command, it will ask it for Chris to use the password. So if I do sudo, I'm using to log in as Abdullah. Yeah? It's asking for Chris's password, and Chris puts his password, and it's in Abdullah. So whenever Chris uses the sudo command, it will ask you for password, like Windows does. Says you want to run this as a command, authenticate yourself, make sure that it's you who's running the sudo, because sudo has a lot of privileges. But today, this is not the scope of the training, but we can make sure that Chris doesn't also use password all the time he uses sudo. Okay. And that's what I probably wanted to make sure we do, but it's not the scope. We've been here for 1 hour. I haven't got to what I really wanted to do. So create a user for each person. Okay. Create a user for each person. Make sure the user can log in. And the user, at least if you want to add a password, add a password. But so we're going to use this command to create this user. Oh, let me go back. I didn't copy that command. So go back and then do history. History on its own will bring you a lot of things. So this is what we want. This command. Okay. This is what we want. I'll put it in the chat. You can create multiple users if you want. I think create and Google create. I know multiple Linux users. You can talk to me, you know.
I'm going. Just telling you what to do. That's what it needs to. See
Daddy,
Yes.
you take care of those areas.
Yeah. I'll be finishing soon.
Okay.
Joshua, come here so she'll get the raisins at the table. Otherwise, they're going to be able to win. Can you put your Nintendo up there before it gets stepped on?
Yeah.
Oh,
Raisins are over here.
Yeah. To create multiple users, you have to create a script and then run the script. Yeah. It's okay. Let's just create the users one by one for now. Because user creation, it can take all of our time. I don't have that time today. So we'll do for Chris. So what I'll do is I'm going to run my command that will give me all the users that I created. Where's the history? You know, I can history, grep, history.
where's the car key? I can't. Can you check it?
And then I'll find this, and then I'll run this again. And these are the commands. So what I'll do is I will then copy this. I've already done Chris. And then I'll add Abdullah. Abdullah already exists. I'll probably delete Abdullah after and create it again. Copy. I'll do for John Luke. No, I can't do it for John Luke and Paul. I can just do it for John Luke. I can do for Paul. I'll do user again, history, rep user add. So I've done for Paul. I need to do for Alphonse. I need to do for Chris is done, Paul is done, John Luke is done, Abdullah is done. I'll delete Abdullah. Actually. Sudo user del Abdullah and create it again. This time around, we should be able to do things. Yeah. Cut Etsy password and woo! They didn't create. What happened there? It's probably I was seeing these errors. It's not unique. Oh, each one needs
That's an ID.
each one needs a unique ID. Yeah.
You can remove it and they will give you a default one. That one is
You're laughing. All right. Let's grep user add again. Oh my days. I know this a lot, but I have. How many times will you be creating a user on machine? And I script these things, so manually doing it is not something that I do. So we need to remove this, yeah. Okay, so we will remove for Abdullah. One in the home folder already exists. For Abdullah, I deleted Abdullah. Well, it did create the user. Let's see. It has bash, which is okay, and it's giving it 3, which is okay. That's a unique ID. Let's do for our phones. So I'm going up, and then I find Abdullah, I find our phones, and remove this unique ID from there. We want the system to set the unique ID. We've learned a lot today. Okay, so if I cut again, our phones got 004. Okay, so what have you learned? This is the user ID. Okay, you see, you can set it yourself, or the system will set one for you. Let's do for we done for our phones, Abdullah. Need to do for John Luke. Okay, let's do for Paul. I will not set user ID. Let's do for John Luke. I will not set user ID. And let's do for, I think that's it. Let's run the command that would give us all the list of users. We got 2 commands. We got John Luke, Paul, Alphonse. So we got Abdullah, which is a problem. We got John Luke, Paul, Alphonse, and Chris. Okay. Let's log in as Abdullah. Sudo su Abdullah. Abdullah has a home folder. It's working. CD. Abdullah, permissions denied. Can't even do CD.
That's the same error I'm facing. You're able to create the users, but when you try to change the user, you're getting permission denied.
No, the first one you created has given you that sudo su. If I go to Paul, CD, Paul works. So the first Abdullah creation, which I did and used just the command Abdullah, is what have problems. But the second command that we've used is that. So what you can do is to delete the user completely, including the home folder. Okay, so the home folder has these things, and if you want to create it again, and Google will tell you user del with home folder. Yep. Minus R. User del minus R is what you need. If you want, sometimes you can delete a user and their home folder will still be there. So sudo user del minus R, yeah, Abdullah. It deletes Abdullah. It says it's not owned by Abdullah. Not owned by Abdullah, not removing. Okay, right. We'll go and remove it. CD. Let's remove this. Sudo. Okay, remember, let's remove Abdullah first without the minus R. Abdullah does not exist. So what we do is we go into this home folder, ls, and we can see Abdullah's home folder there. Yeah. So we will do sudo rm minus R Abdullah. Gone. It's not there. We deleted it a different way. User there will not delete. We deleted it a different way. So if I list again, Abdullah is not there. Never delete the Ubuntu home folder. Never delete the Ubuntu home folder. Never delete the Ubuntu home folder. The machine will crash. Well, try it. Create an EC2. Delete the Ubuntu home folder. Find out what will happen. Try it and then create and then delete the EC2. Delete the machine. This is why you can play around with this. Okay, so now let's create Abdullah again. Well, instead of going up, I can copy this and grep history. History, pipe grep Abdullah. So now I'm going to create Abdullah again. And voila, Abdullah is there now. So if I go to CD home, ls Abdullah's folder is there. Now it will create it with the correct. So let's go to sudo su Abdullah, sudo su Abdullah. User Abdullah does not exist, or the user entry does not contain all the required fields. Oh, I put / in the name. See, there's / in the name, and that's what. Oh my days! So Abdullah is here. Yeah, that is it. I just wanted to create a user today, but we have gone into the user creation too much. We can do a whole 4 weeks lesson on user creation, but I want you to just go and practice. Create an EC2, play around with the user creation, make sure the user can use root, make sure, no, not yet. Make sure the user can use root, make sure the user is not using a password, set a password, don't set a password, try things and see. Okay? But today, we just wanted to create some users. We are doing SSH, not user creation. Okay, SSH is what we're doing today. So I will stop recording, and obviously this will be for the user creation. Stop recording.